What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Championship Round podcast. It is here. We got two great matchups. Kind of unexpected matchups, to be honest with you. But it's here, and very excited for it. Had a great divisional round. I'm Gianni. Got Sully and Moreno,
Yes,
full
sir.
TPA in the flesh and ready to break it down. Next week, for sure, we have our season award predictions and personal favorites of the season. We'll do that next week. But we're gonna break down the divisional round and we're gonna make our predictions for the conference championships. So, without further ado, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, and share with your friends. Growing this channel for you guys. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions. Without further ado, let's start with the Jaguars and the Chiefs, where the Chiefs beat them 27-20. This was a hell of a game. And Mahomes, unfortunately, going down in this game, and Chad Henne, not a bad performance. Patrick Mahomes, 22 for 30, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Chad Henne, 5 for 7, 23 yards and a touchdown. Pacheco. I always forget how to say it.
Pacheco.
Pacheco. That's what it is. He kicked ass this game. He was so fast. He was crazy. This game, 12 carries, 95 yards. He was so fast this game. This game, easily predictable by the Chiefs, but to win this game. But close game here, 7 points. Travis Kelce, 14 receptions with 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just want to give a shout out to the Jaguars who made it to the divisional round. Nobody thought they'd even make the playoffs. Did not have a bad performance in this game. Trevor Lawrence is looking like a stud. Jaguars defense looks insane. Just want to shout out this Jaguars team. Like I said, underdogs. Even though they lost, but they have a bright future ahead. Like we were just talking about before we started the podcast, we got Calvin Ridley coming back. We'll see what he can do, what damage he can put on. But I'm very, very excited for this Jaguars future. But Chiefs are moving on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The Jaguars, they impressed me this season. They impressed a lot of people. Not Marino, though. Marino knew that they were going to make the playoffs. He called that early on. But Trevor Lawrence, pedestrian game, but this Chiefs team was ready for them. I think that the offensive game plan was really you got to look into Andy Reid's mind. You got to highlight the Chiefs' offensive line. A few years ago, Patrick Mahomes was running around like a chicken with his head cut off in playoff games and just kind of throwing on the run passes to guys throwing up 50-50 balls pretty much. But this year, without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs' offense looks 100% more balanced. Kadarius Toney, midseason pickup for the Chiefs, putting in some work, getting some run. I just love seeing the ball distribution, and they're not afraid to run the ball, like Gianni was saying with Isaiah Pacheco. Jerick McKinnon too. He's got the touches, not necessarily the yards, but he's always up for a big play every once in a while. As for the Jaguars' future, I couldn't be more excited. Trevor Lawrence is starting to finally come into his own. And I think that he's going to be rising up the ranks in terms of where he is, maybe a top 10 QB in the next few years. Obviously, there's a lot of young talent in this league, but I think that man's just on an upward trajectory. Patrick Mahomes, high ankle sprain for this upcoming game, though. It's gonna be a factor. A high ankle sprain is not a pushover injury. It really does affect the motion and the movement of a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, but I'm still really high on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let me start with the Jags. Very impressive season. A lot was proven. Doug Peterson is still a great coach. Trevor Lawrence still has that dog in him. He didn't lose that in college at all. And they have a bright future. And you can't say that they didn't want this game. They fought their asses off as much as they could. They gave the Chiefs a really hard fight. They didn't go out without a fight, and I got to give it props to them. A player I hate to say I'm disappointed in this game was Devin Lloyd. He was getting cooked by Travis Kelce all day, and he made some plays, but he needed to fill some holes in some plays, and he just was getting cooked in the passing. So he kind of, yeah, and he was one of my favorite guys coming out of college. So that's kind of sucks to see, but I like him for the future of the franchise there. Him and Aluluakun, that's such a fire duo. But going over to the Chiefs, yeah, Patrick Mahomes going out, that definitely scared a lot of people, a lot of Chiefs fans. But did you really think Patrick Mahomes was really going to be out? Like he's a dog, and he's going to finish that game out, and he is a top 5. It goes Patrick. Well, I seen a list that said Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes with one leg. That's the top 3. That's the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. So, I mean, I don't know how much I agree with that, but it's just he just becomes a pocket passer with one leg, and he's great at that. So I don't see them slowing down too much from that. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco is his name. I had my mic muted, so I couldn't say it. He had a fantastic game. His stats were kind of inflated by a big run, but like I said, it's just you don't get the passing game going if that running game isn't going. And Pacheco has really brought what Clyde Edwards-Helaire really didn't, and is just run through contact. And he's had a really amazing season, and he looks like a really good guy for them next year and possibly the year after that. And then Kadarius Toney, he didn't light up the stat sheet or anything, but it felt good to watch the offense kind of flow through him when Patrick Mahomes was healthy, because that shows what the potential of this offense can be next year. And like using Kadarius Toney on short screens and just let him use work. And I was really excited to see that. He didn't break anything huge things, but he made some huge plays, and I'm excited to see him in a Chiefs uniform moving forward. And they got a hell of a game against the Bengals next week, but I don't expect him not to bring it.
Let's move on to the Eagles taking out the Giants. All right. Let's get the elephant on the room. Let's get the elephant on the room. Last week, I predicted the Giants to beat the Eagles. Holy shit! What a fucking terrible take. Eagles beat the Giants 38-7.
Milk, aged like milk.
Deep in my heart, deep in my mind, I knew the Eagles were going to win, but Giants were really just going to upset. Like, it was possible, but they did not bring it this game. Daniel Jones looked like shit. Daniel Jones had 1 week of praise. 1 week of praise during this his whole career, and that was last week. This week, Daniel Jones is the problem with the Giants. He had 1 good week, and that says a lot about the Vikings. Vikings are frauds. That's out of the way.
Yeah, I was
Giants
just
are
about to
frauds.
say.
Giants are frauds. I've been saying it all season. I do not know why I didn't think that they were going to fold this game, but they did. I've been saying the Giants are frauds all season. Have I not? Right.
Except for last week.
Except for last week.
Even when they were on their little tear, I'm like, no. This is an easy cupcake schedule. No. But let's move on.
I believe you put them in your top 5 a couple times in your power rankings, but I'm not going to. I know you at least said once.
Maybe
but...
1 or 2 weeks. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know Sully did too. I was like the only one that didn't. But
I want you to do some digging with that. But
they still made the divisional round. Like,
right. Yeah. Like I said, that says a lot about the Vikings, though.
Vikings, but they're not top 5.
Yeah. All right. So Jalen Hurts didn't even need to do much. Had 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 for 24. Kenneth Gainwell, what a good showing for him. It's one of Sully's favorites, Kenneth Gainwell here. 12 carries, 112 yards with a touchdown. Miles Sanders had a great game as well, 17 carries, 90 yards. Yeah, then so 2 touchdowns with Jalen Hurts and 1 rushing touchdown from him as well. Boston Scott got in on a touchdown party as well, 32 yards and touchdown. And then Devonta Smith, 1 touchdown. Dallas Goddard, 1 touchdown. This was a dominant game on both sides of the ball with the Eagles. Terrible game by the Giants, as I should have expected. They folded this game. I wanted to see more usage out of Saquon. 9 carries is unacceptable. He did have 2 receptions, but still, it's 11 touches total. Terrible game by the Giants. Giants don't. A lot of questions going into the offseason now. They had one good game that was last week, but now a lot of questions going into this offseason. Is Daniel Jones the problem?
Yeah, like I said last week, the skill level overall for the Eagles versus the Giants was going to show through. I was really personally let down by the Giants' defensive line. I think they got pushed around quite a bit. Obviously, when Kenneth Gainwell, the number 2 running back, has 112 yards, something's going wrong there. But the Eagles, they're a rushy monster. They can attack you through all these different ways on the ground, and then all of a sudden you look up and A.J. Brown only had 3 catches today because they didn't even need to throw him the ball. It's insane how much talent this team has, and I think that the Giants, they were still trying to do their game plan from last week in a way. I thought Saquon could have seen some more touches, but obviously falling behind in a game, you're not going to get a lot of rushing attack. Isaiah Hodgins is a player I'm really disappointed with. I thought that he was kind of coming into his own and becoming a receiver that Daniel Jones can rely on, but 1 catch, 3 yards in a playoff game is not what I'm looking for out of a guy that, yeah, he was underrated, but coming into this week, he had a few big games, honestly, obviously against the Vikings, and then a couple weeks beforehand. I expected more from him. This Giants team changed their trajectory this season in a big way, in my opinion. Their stars came through like Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. They're looking formidable on defense now. If they can keep Wink Martindale there and keep going with Dayball, I think Dayball, obviously a Coach of the Year candidate, put them in positions to win each week. This week, they were just facing a better team. The Eagles played them 3 times. beat them every time. It's tough to see, but I think the Eagles are going to keep on rolling.
Yeah, this was just a game where it was the boys against the men. That's just all it was. It, I, it's not to say that the Giants didn't try and they didn't have a great season, but when you bench your $72 million wide receiver, I really don't have high expectations for your team. And like, you really could use that talent, quote unquote talent, in games like this. And I mean, they got cooked. But yeah, I mean, Eagles just had all the answers, but they have all the depth in the world right now. They have all the momentum. Like, they've just been rolling all season, and I don't expect it to stop. I mean, Jason Kelsey was all over Dexter Lawrence all day and made him his son. And sad, it's just what it was. There's not really too much to say. I do want to bring up Boston Scott, the giant killer. He got another touchdown. I think it's like he has 17 or 16 total touchdowns, and like 11 of them are against the Giants. So that definitely says something. Giants can't stop that man. But Giants have a bright future. Definitely did a lot better than a lot of people expected. I thought they'd had a really good offseason. I didn't expect them to do as good as they did. Daniel Jones can still be the answer moving forward. Maybe on a cheap contract if they can get that. Maybe as a bridge guy. Maybe draft somebody late in the second or third round. See what they can do. I don't know. But yeah, Eagles are powerhouse and are going to cause a lot of problems for the 49ers.
It's good. It's a good problem to have, having to decide whether you want to keep Daniel Jones or not now.
Yeah, it really is because it's kind of a win-win situation. I mean, you kind of know what you're getting with Daniel Jones. You know he can bring you to the playoffs.
Let's move on to Doctor the most. Bengals beating the Bills 27-10. Now the result is the shocker to most. It's the difference in scoring. Bills only scoring 10 points. Bills, who have been an electric team all season, getting absolutely shitted on by the Bengals. Playoff Bengals are here to play. Just it. I didn't expect this in the slightest. But the Bengals defense completely ate the Bills offense apart. Josh Allen played like shit for the most part. And a lot of that was coming down to the receivers getting locked up this whole game. Bills couldn't get a rushing attack going. Again, when Josh Allen's your leading rusher. A lot of questions there. I think I should wanted to see more Singletary and Cook usage, but didn't get that. Bengals, Joe Burrow played really well. 23 for 36, 242 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And Joe Mixon, being Joe Mixon finally. He's been shaky all season, but 20 carries, 105 yards, and a touchdown. And then Jamar Chase getting a touchdown. Hayden Hurst getting a touchdown. Bengals are here, and they're the real deal. Going to be a really, really tough matchup going against the Chiefs, but it's very, very possible Bengals can make a repeat in the Super Bowl, make an appearance. But we'll see. But for me, who I've been so high on the Bills all season, and they are my prediction to go to the Super Bowl and win it. just very, very tough to see here. A lot of questions going into the Bills offseason. Of course, you're going to stick with Josh Allen, but receiver-wise with Stephon Diggs, who was clearly very, very frustrated with Josh Allen the whole game, especially at the end. That's going viral, of course. Will Stephon Diggs leave? That remains to be seen. But like I said, a lot of questions going into the Bills offseason. We'll see.
I don't think he's going to leave. Just to start off, I think that it was an in the moment type of thing. Obviously, we've seen Stephon Diggs gets really emotional with these types of things, but the Bengals pretty much stole the Bills' lunch. They got them down in the first quarter, putting up 14 points in the first quarter, and the Bills aren't used to playing from behind like that. Josh Allen, 42 attempts passing. This is what I've been pounding the table about all season. When it comes down to the playoffs, and this was a blizzard game, the Bills should be thriving. The Bills should be taking this as their advantage. But instead, they don't run the ball barely at all because they can't rely on a small back like Singletary, and James Cook is just not there yet. They keep throwing the ball, and they're relying on Josh Allen to make plays when no one's really showing up today. Dawson Knox had an okay game. No one made the big plays that the Bills are so used to making. Diggs was close on a couple, but it just wasn't there. Gabe Davis with a drop at the end. And what the Bengals did on defense was honestly how teams are going to try to play Josh Allen from now on, just putting it on tape. Trey Hendrickson had a huge game. DJ Reader was making an impact on the field. Same thing with Hubbard. I think that Brandon Beane, the GM of the Bills, talking about the roster construction of the Bengals was really ironic, honestly, because, yeah, you don't want to be that bad to go get Jamar Chase, but your team is also so thin. We've seen the secondary so thin. LaMarcus Joyner and Trey White in that game. Collision takes them both out. They're already so thin without Hyde. This Bills team was just not healthy enough at the end of the day, and their playmakers just didn't come to play. Joe Mixon for the Bengals had himself a day, cashing in on a touchdown. They just look talented, like the most talented team left, honestly. And I was just praising the Eagles for being so talented on both sides of the ball. This is really going to be a fun Super Bowl, whoever ends up making it.
I did say it was in the script. Bengals versus Chiefs. This was definitely not exactly how I expected it to go down. Didn't really expect there to be snow either. But with that, you do expect the Bills to at least, like, I don't know, because Ohio's cold too. But I don't know. You just kind of expect Bills to rock it at home, but they just couldn't get it going. I mean, so he's right about the small back, Singletary and James Cook. I mean, I don't really know what they expected. They kind of have all receiving backs. They don't really have any power backs. So it's just, that means they really can't run up the middle and have much success. So, yeah, they really couldn't get anything going in the air either. Khalil Shakir had a pretty good game. He definitely tried his best, having more yards than Diggs and Gabe Davis. He looks like he could be a guy for them. But yeah, Gabe play a big game. Gabe did not show up. Neither did Diggs, but it just overall is Josh Allen, who didn't show up. And that's just, he cracks in the big moments. So kind of sad to see. Might be the Bills effect. I love Josh Allen, and I hope he can get a Super Bowl with that team. But man, he's had a lot of bad luck. But going to the Bengals, they were my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year. Definitely at the like few weeks in the season, I was scared, but it's brought itself back on track, and I haven't. I'm not changing my pick. Who had a good game was Cam Taylor-Britt. I mean, all of those corners. I mean, you would look at that and be like, who are these people? Eli Apple,
Yeah.
Mike Hilton, and Cam Taylor-Britt. But man, they just cause a lot more problems for that offense than they've seen all season. And I feel like this is how the game would have went if DeMar Hamlin didn't go down on that Monday. I think it was just set to be another ass kicking. But yeah, I'm excited for the Bills Chiefs game. We'll see if they still got their number.
If the Bills GM is really coming up with excuses, he put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, trading for Naheem Hines. They didn't even play him. He didn't get a
That's
single
my
snap.
biggest thing.
Why? Why even trade for him at that point?
Yeah, because they were using Zach Moss. Not a lot, but still, yeah, it's a great
I
point.
mean,
So
just for special teams, it just seems ridiculous.
Especially to give up a 6th round too.
Good point there, so. All right, let's move on. Final matchup here. The San Francisco 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys 19-12. Did not shock me, at least. Who predicted Cowboys? Was it Marino? Sully, did you? You were 49ers. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a good game. This was a really good game and fun watch. Both defenses played really well. Especially the of course. But Dak Prescott played his shit. Let's just be straight. He played like shit for the most part. 23, 37, 206 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Unfortunate to see Tony Pollard go down. Maybe he would have been a huge difference maker. But even with him going down, Ezekiel Elliott only getting 10 carries, a little questionable to me. But on the 49ers side, this was expected for me at least. Brock Purdy, not a bad game, 19 for 29, 214 passing yards. And then Christian McCaffrey getting a touchdown for the 49ers side. The rest was field goals, but this was a good game on the 49ers defense side, just shutting out the Cowboys team, who have been hit or miss, but for the most part have been pretty electric all season. But 49ers are back in the NFC Championship.
Honestly, I felt like the Cowboys came into this game playing like it was the damn Super Bowl. Like, why do they come into these games playing so... Honestly, even with Tony Pollard going down, I still didn't think that they were going to win this game. But when Dak was playing against... Sorry, I'm blanking on who they played in the first round. But Dak was slinging it. He was slinging it in the first game.
Buccaneers.
He had the touchdown to Gallup, and he looked confident. This game, they don't really rely on the run very much at all. And you can't lose the turnover battle against Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, starting in a playoff game. you can't give the game away when he's throwing for 0 touchdowns. Dak really did give the game away this game, and it's disappointing to see, but I don't think that the Cowboys are going to make any type of moves to get off of him, being that he's their guy going forward, and they're already calling for poor Mike McCarthy's head, trying to get Sean Payton in there. I think the Cowboys are a mess. Defensively, they looked great at times. DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, obviously. They had themselves pretty good games, but this 49ers team, they follow the script for Shanahan. It was good to see Elijah Mitchell getting in there, getting some run. George Kittle had a pretty crazy catch. Just good all-around performance from the offense. Purdy not making mistakes, trying to get it to his guys. I think that this 49ers team is complete with their defense playing how they are right now. But I'm not sure if they're not making plays at the quarterback position, 0 passing touchdowns, if they can beat the Eagles. It's going to be a good one, but damn.
So yeah, I do really agree with that statement that you said that they just come out and play like it's a Super Bowl, and what that means is just they just play so hard, and they end up just tiring out, and it ends up working terrible for them in late game situations because they can't get anything done, and especially when the 49ers are running 10-play drives and tiring out that defense all game. So, I mean, I gotta say the only guy that really showed that he wanted it out of this whole Cowboys team was CeeDee Lamb.
He's a dog.
He's a dog, and that's where their focus should be for their future is CeeDee Lamb and what they could build around him. But yeah, 49ers just wanted it more. Defensive wise, really. I mean, they made plays on offense. But yeah, it's just the defense is where it showed. It was just which defense cracked first, and it was the Cowboys defense that cracked, and that's how they lost. And you gotta give it to the 49ers. They are moving on with a rookie quarterback who hasn't lost a game, but if they're coming to face their toughest challenge yet. But I raise this question to you guys: has the Cowboys Super Bowl window closed?
Was it ever open?
Was it ever open? No, it was a really good chance this season. Mike McCarthy is not just Packers bias, but like I said in the beginning of the season, I said they weren't going to make playoffs, and this was going to be Mike McCarthy's job season. Mike McCarthy didn't do absolute shit for the Cowboys this season. They had a very electric offense with CeeDee Lamb, of course, Gallup, Dak, Pollard, and Ezekiel Elliott being the 1-2 punch. Best 1-2 punch in the league. Not to give Mike McCarthy no credit, but I don't think he was a huge difference maker in this season for the Cowboys. But I don't know if it's closing. It depends. It depends on what offseason moves they make. Which, if I'm gonna assume none. Like most of the time, they're like a Packers team with their offseason decisions. But it remains to be seen how good they draft. Again, we'll deep dive in that in the offseason podcast. But for me, I don't. It really just depends. But if I'm gonna assume, yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I think so too. I think that it's going to be open for as long as Micah Parsons and CD are on the team. Uh, I think that
Yeah.
moving around pieces to maybe get a stronger receiver as a second receiver, maybe even a different tight end. Dalton Schultz did not really do much in terms of blocking at all. Very little in the pass game too. What was that play at the very end? We did not talk about that, but Zeke lining up at center, getting blown past.
That might be one of the probably the new worst play ever.
No doubt.
And, that Colts play. It's close, but that's probably one of the worst plays ever, if not the worst. Terrible decision there. But who, before we get into the conference championship, who had the best performance?
This weekend?
Yeah, who do you think had the best performance?
The Bengals. They beat the Bills by a lot at home and didn't make it close. And looked really good. Yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off Marino. I'm going to say Joe Burrow. To go into Buffalo in a blizzard and just – he's Joe Cool, man. That man is not phased.
Yeah, you've seen the video on Twitter of him.
Yeah, you've seen him do that spin. Yeah.
You've seen the swag.
Your little sister's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, it's a great Bengals did play really well. I believe they played the best, especially shutting out the Bills. Fully on the 10 points is insane.
Especially because coming into the season, everybody thought the Bills was going to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, so to shut them down.
I think it's excited to do too. Yeah. All right.
Start the season, probably.
Head to Bengals.
Of course you did. Marino script. All right, guys. Conference championship time. Let's start with the NFC championship. We got the 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, this could either be a super scoring game, or both defense can absolutely show up to play, and it could be close like that Cowboys game. Man, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Reason being,
I know you were going to
just Brock. Hey, let me finish. Reason being, Brock, not just Brock Purdy, who's been playing well for everything. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have Eli Mitchell. You have Deebo Samuel. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have that defense. You have Greenlaw. You have Bosa. You have a stacked team. How do they not win? Of course, you have Husak and Mason. Look at this team. How do they not win this? Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won because they proved it this week against the Giants what they can do. But can they do that against the 49ers defense? I don't think so. Because the defensive line is absolutely dominant. If the offense doesn't come to play, the defense will come to play. This is a 49ers win. It'll be close, but this is a 49ers win, and they'll make it back to the Super Bowl.
So both these teams play a really similar style on offense. Without the running phase of Jalen Hurts' game, Brock Purdy doesn't do that quite as much, but they're both really focused on getting the ball in space with their running backs. And the Eagles, I think, have a bigger downfield threat. Obviously, they have uh, some pretty damn good receivers. Well, the 49ers are more focused on getting the ball in the middle of the field with CMC. Brandon Ayuk is going to be a big X factor in this game, in my opinion. If he shows up and maybe frees up Debo a little bit, CMC, I could see the 49ers being able to move the ball still. But I think that this Eagles defense has guys who are hungry. They have a rotation on the defensive line. Their secondary is at the top of its game. Slay. And I just in Philadelphia, across the country, the Eagles just feel destined. I'm taking the Eagles and Jalen Hurts at home. It's going to be a damn good one, though.
Quick interrupt before you start, Marino. I'll take that $20 to my shop.
Yeah, don't worry, I didn't forget. But I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I got the Eagles. A lot of reasons why. I think what Gianni said about the 49ers, I'm going to say about the Eagles. How can they lose? I mean, where I think they beat the 49ers is depth. And, like, they, especially on that D line and with that rotation as Sue, Linval, and they just can get those guys, like, even though they play limited snaps, the snaps that they do play are big in games, and they do make big plays and plug up the pocket. I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for Brock Purdy pressure-wise, but they do make that offense very simple for him, 1 to 2 read passing plays. It's just the inexperience has to show eventually. It's either going to be here or it's going to be the Super Bowl. I said it last week. I said it, I'm going to keep saying it. It's got to show.
The Cowboys were not the team for Brock to lose to. I feel like
they kind of had him shook in the beginning, like the first couple plays, but he locked in.
Yeah.
Shanahan does make that defense very simple or offense very simple.
It does. It'll be a battle. Like I said, I won't be surprised if the Eagles win because they've been proven all season. But 49ers, man, lately they've just been unstoppable. But moving on, we have the Bengals. So AFC Championship, we have the Cincinnati Bengals making it back to the AFC Championship. First is the Kansas City Chiefs. Bengals red hot. Absolutely red hot. Joe Burrow playing insane. Joe Mixon playing pretty good. Defense, what a past couple of weeks for the Bengals defense. Chiefs, of course, being the Chiefs all season. Chiefs playing, like I said, playing like Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes getting a high ankle sprain, like Sully said. He still will pass it well. Even with it's going to play a factor, but I don't think by much. But when it comes down to it, the end of the game, the winner is it'll be a Super Bowl Super Bowl 2020 rematch of the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow. That's not where I thought you were going with that. That's an interesting take. Honestly, I don't hate it, G. But personally, I have been watching this Bengals defensive line. Those guys are playing out of their mind right now. And as much as I like the improvements that the Chiefs have made on offense, Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. He is not going to be getting out of the pocket very well. And it's going to be really, really big for the receivers to get open this game, especially in the middle of the field. And I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to do it. I don't like the Chiefs offense or defense as much as I like the Bengals offense. I think that the Bengals will score pretty. I think it's going to be a high scoring game for both teams. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see the Chiefs defense stopping this Bengals offense. And I like the Bengals on defense. I got the Bengals rolling. Bengals Eagles Super Bowl, baby.
I'm gonna have to tail Sullivan on that. I've had the Bengals all season, but I don't. They're the hottest they've been all season. Just steamrolled former Super Bowl favorite. They were hurt, but Chiefs are also hurt now, and for some reason the Bengals just have the Chiefs number more than any team in the NFL, and it's just they're the most healthy they've been all season, and there's no excuses for them to lose.
Expect wrinkles from Andy Reid. Like I am expecting like plays I've never seen before. They've already done it versus the Raiders. They were doing the ring around the rosy, all this different type of stuff. I am expecting a great game, but it's gonna be tough, man.
Ring around the
Burrowhead,
rosy. Ring around the rosy in the AFC Championship. That,
Burrowhead, baby.
well, you guys are the same. We got the Bengals and the Eagles Super Bowl. You know, any outcome of this championship week, I am so excited for the Super Bowl. These teams have young QBs. Not with a Super Bowl without Tom Brady is a good Super Bowl. But that this is this is gonna be a good. This is going to be a good couple weeks. But Super Bowl, or recapping the conference championship. We'll be giving our as well as awards, award predictions, and our personal awards. And we'll take the Pro Bowl week off, the week after the Pro Bowl off, right before the Super Bowl, and then we'll be back with a podcast week Super Bowl, and then we'll have some plans going into the for how the podcast are going to look like, if we're going to have a certain schedule or.
Yes, sir.
There, we're going to do some planning. But with that, that's been the Conference Championship podcast. Before we go, Sierra Marino, you guys got anything?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Frank Reich hiring for the Panthers. David Tepper, the Panthers owner, he's a new owner. He recently bought the team, and he has big expectations for the quarterback position in particular. So Frank Reich's not a bad coach. He kind of had an unfair deal in Indianapolis. He never got his guy that he really wanted. I'm expecting things to be a lot more under his control for player personnel in Carolina. I'm excited. I think that he'll have a good tenure in Carolina compared to Indianapolis. Marino?
Yeah, well, quick throwing on Frank Reich. He did get the short end of the stick in Indianapolis. He kind of just got one season with Andrew Luck, and he retired on him. And kind of just left him high and dry, and he was left picking up the scraps ever since. And it's kind of a tough situation to be in, and now he gets a fresh start. But also, I just want to thank everybody. It's been a fun season covering the NFL. It's been a crazy season. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, back to you, John.
We'll decide if we want to do some XFL podcasts. If it comes down to it, exciting is it? We'll see. We might talk about it, we might not, but it just depends on how exciting it comes, and if it's not, I mean, 2020, that season was pretty fun to watch, but we'll see. I mean, especially as a football, that was fun. Remember that it was Triple A?
Yeah, the AFL.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
AFL.
what it was. Yeah, that was a fun league until they went out as well. We'll see. But until next week, so we're gonna do a lot of thinking. We'll come up with new plans, but we'll see you guys next week. The Super Bowl podcast. Until then, I've been Gianni, Sully, Marino. TPA is checking out. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.